This is my second video in my series of videos about the kinds of symmetries that wallpaper patterns might have. In this particular video, we're going to look at glides, and I am going to say a word or two about mirrors. So here's a pattern that, if I just look at two of the columns, should remind you of the strip patterns that have a glide and nothing else. And I want to remind you of what a glide actually is. If I do a horizontal glide, what that basically means is that I need to flip the shape over the line that I'm going to glide on, and then I pull it parallel to that line. So horizontal glides are going to take right side up R's into upside down R's. Now, there are no upside down R's over here, so I know that I don't have any horizontal glides. A vertical glide works the same way, except that I'm doing the reflection vertically, and then I'm pulling in the same line. And you'll notice that the right side up R turns into a backwards R. And we get lots of those over here. So let's see, let's get rid of that straight thing. Let me look for some glide lines. And I'm going to dot the glide lines. We've got glide lines that would look like this. And we've got, oh, here's another one. And we've also got a glide line that would look like this. In other words, we've got two families of glides here because the base translation, let me change my arrow style. The base translation in the horizontal direction is something that looks like this. It goes from here to here. And so you can't take these light yellowish glide lines into the blue glide lines. So this particular wallpaper pattern has two families of vertical glides, one of them shown in green here and one of them shown in blue. We can also have horizontal glides. This pattern, of course, has horizontal glides. Let me remind you that the horizontal glides, if I'm gliding over a line that is not through the middle of the R, the glide is going to look like this. And we pull it. So we get a right side up R going to an upside down R, going to a right side up R, and so forth. But we can also glide horizontally right through the middle of the R's, and that would look like this. We first of all do the flip, and then we pull, and so we just get right side up R, upside down, right side up, upside down, and so on. And what this means is that we have two families of glide lines, both in the horizontal direction. And so what do they look like? Well, let's get my dotted things and get the right endpoints. And the first family of them would be, and so the second set of glide lines would look like this. So let me check it, make sure that they are dotted with the right kind of endpoints. The second set of glide lines goes between rows of R's, like this. So we have two families of glide lines, both in the horizontal direction. And this is what they would look like if I did all of them in purple and green. You'll notice that the green ones are through the middles of the R's, and the purple ones are between the rows. And you can't do a translation from a green line to a purple line because the R's have to land on themselves. Well, let's look at a slightly more complicated pattern that has some glides. This pattern has staggering And so we expect some glides because this first column and this second column look like they're glides. But we also have some mirrors. We've got front-to-front mirrors in several places. And so it's important to realize that in this particular thing, we're looking for both mirrors and glides. So let's look at the glides first. Remember, we don't have any horizontal glides because a horizontal glide is going to turn the R's upside down, and there are no upside down R's in this particular problem. We do have vertical ones because if I do a vertical glide, the R's get turned into backwards R's, and there are lots of backwards R's. So let's draw some glide lines. And let's see. Oh, let's put the first glide lines in. Wait a minute. Let's check that again. Okay, so the first glide line is going to be a vertical line in there. And then we're going to have another one here, and we're going to have another one here. We have some mirror lines. That's a mirror line. Let's get rid of that. The last glide line is in this area. Now I'm going to draw mirrors with solid lines. So let me go back and make solid lines. And the mirrors in this one would look like this. There's a mirror, and here's a mirror, and here's a mirror. This is another glide line. And so if I move that line over, well, notice that what's happening is that the glide lines and the mirror lines are alternating. And if you have glides and mirrors only in the same direction, that typically is what's going to happen. Cleaning up the picture, we get this sort of a thing. We have two families of things going on. We have one family of vertical glides in the dotted lines. We have one family of vertical mirrors in the solid blue lines. The last wallpaper pattern that we're going to look at in this video is one that has two families of glides. This is a crazy looking pattern at the start, and what I want to notice is that there are right side up R's, there are upside down R's, there are backwards R's, and there are also upside down and backwards R's. And this reminds us of both glides and rotations. So I want to kind of look at how the glides are going to work, and then we're going to look very carefully to find out whether or not there are any rotations. I want to remind you that the way a horizontal glide works is that you are going to flip the thing over a horizontal line and then drag it. Now, in this particular pattern, the glides are going to be through the middles of the R's, because going from this line to this line is not going to be a glide, because this R, if I go all the way over to here, it's going the wrong way. And so all of the R's are going the wrong way for glides. So the only glides are through the middles of the R's. So let's try and draw some typical glide lines. And let me make sure that I am dotting the lines and doing that. And let's see if I can change the color. Nope, if I don't change the color, it defaults back to changing the endpoints, so we have to do that. Okay, so our first set of horizontal glide lines are going right through the middles of the R's, and here's just a couple of them. Let me move that one up. To the right location. Now, the other thing is we also have some vertical glides going on. This backwards R can be reflected and then translated down to this R. Or I could think about a right side, a correct R reflecting, and it's going to come down to here. I can show that over here by taking a regular R and I do a vertical flip and then I pull down, and you'll notice that this is the shape that we're getting. So here's a pair of them. So let's put the vertical glides in a dotted line of an appropriate color. So we get vertical glides in the spaces between the two columns. Now, it's interesting to figure out whether or not we have one or two families of glide lines in each of the two directions. And I kind of want to add one more horizontal line, because we get a horizontal one through each and every row. And I want to realize that at the start, it looks like we might have two families going on here. But it turns out that we don't, and we're going to look at that pretty carefully. I want to consider what's going on when I look at pairs of R's like these. The R's are the legs to the legs on adjacent rows. And it turns out that there's a rotocenter here. If I take a R and I rotate around a point that is on the bottom of it, this is what it looks like. And you will notice that this picture is exactly what we have in this area right here. And it turns out that the same relationship is going to appear whenever we have leg to legs. So we have a bunch of rotocenters that look like these. And there's another one. And there's one. I also have rotocenters between pairs of R's that are top to top, like these R's and these R's and these R's and these R's. And I can illustrate that over here with this one. If I rotate this right side up and frontwards R, I can get an upside down and backwards R. And so here again, I have a right side up and an upside down, and it turns out that we've got some rotocenters that I'm going to put in this bright purple color. Now I know that the purple rotocenters and the red rotocenters can't be in the same family, because the R's have to land on themselves, and I can't take legs into tops. So we have two families of rotocenters in this. Now what I really want to notice is that if I rotate around this particular rotocenter of order 2, this top glide line is going to land on this glide line right here. This half of the glide line will land on this half of the glide line. And this part of that R will land on that part of the R. So we really only have one family of horizontal glide lines. The same thing happens with the vertical glide lines. If I rotate around that particular red rotocenter that is a half-turn rotocenter, this blue glide blue glide line is going to land on this blue glide line. And hence we only have one family of glides. We can clean this up and look at the picture this way, and you'll see that we've got one family of glides in the vertical direction, one family of glides in the horizontal direction, and two families of half-turn rotations.